Welcome to the Agents of the Roundtable Wiki Community AMA. Every Monday, we discuss SecretNetwork and its applications with guests from all around the network. This is an audio recording of the AMA. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah, so welcome everyone. I see there are a lot of people. That's nice to see. I am Ertemann or Gijs. I always host these Agents of the Roundtable sessions every Thursday, but you can also find me personally on Twitter as Ertemann. But today we're not only hosting myself, but also hosting Assaf and Lior, who are both developers for Scrt Labs. So maybe you can introduce yourself, starting with Assaf.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Assaf Morami, co-developer of SecretNetwork, working with Scrt Labs for the past 3 years. A very proud husband and girl dad, and super excited to also have Lior here, which is a good friend of mine for 8 years now, and I finally managed to bring him over to Scrt Labs. And just so let me tell you that Lior is actually a superhuman. He's not afraid of grunt work. He dove right into the CosmOsm code, our privacy implementation, and the Cosmos SDK code, and he's doing an amazing job. And a big part of us bringing CosmOsm V1 so soon after Shockwave Alpha is Lior. So I can't say enough good things about him.
Well, after Assaf introduced me and made me so shy, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Lior Bondarevsky. I'm 27 years old. I think in the past 8 years now, I've been working in the cybersecurity industry. I've been working both in the IBF for 6 years and then in Sentinel-1 for another 2 years. And then finally I joined Scrt Labs as a developer here. And I'm so proud to be here to join this amazing network.
Welcome. Glad to have you. It's crazy how every time a Scrt Labs developer introduces themselves, I feel they always have at least 5 or 10 years or more experience in the cybersecurity space or cryptographics or math. So it seems like Scrt Labs and Guy know where to hire their people. And for some reason, you all also seem to be friends. So it's cool to see that you're all connected already before joining Scrt Labs.
Yeah. Just before we begin, Ertemann, I just wanted to give you a shout out. The work that you're doing with the new documentation website, it turned out very, very well done, and I'm looking forward to building on it with new documentation. Then also working with the IBC railers to bring secret tokens to IBC chains. And now also with this podcast, I don't know what's your technical background, but you're just wonderful at asking technical questions and explaining low-level stuff in normies terms. 2 weeks ago, I think, when you had the crypto crew on and you both went deep into IBC, and it was very interesting to listen to. I just want to say it's very refreshing to listen to a podcast with the right balance of technical versus normies level of conversations. So yeah, just wanted to give you a shout out and say that your work doesn't go unnoticed.
Thank you. That's very much appreciated. I guess that is exactly what I try to achieve with not only this podcast, but with a lot of things I do within the network is try and see if we can explain the intricacies of SecretNetwork and the tech stack which it uses to a lot of users or investors who may not have a deep technical knowledge already. So it's glad to hear that it's working.
It is working, at least in my opinion, and I think that we really need more people like you in the secret ecosystem.
Luckily, the agency has a lot of people working with us to explain that. I see some of them already here in the spaces as well, and the documentation team will keep growing to keep delivering good developer documentation to all the developers coming in. So looking forward to keep working on that. But for now, it's probably time to start. I think we have a lot to discuss. A lot of interesting things are coming to SecretNetwork. And I guess the simple way to say is that we are updating the smart contract implementations, which we're having on SecretNetwork right now, which is a slightly adjusted version of COSM 0.1 or 0.10, just how you want to describe it. And now we're moving to COSM version 1, and maybe Lior or Assaf can describe what that difference actually entails and what kind of things you had to do to get to COSM version 1 and when it's coming.
Yeah, sure. So we're both combining the support both for COSM V1 and COSM V10 and the main differences that you can find in COSM V1 is actually that it is way simpler for you as a developer, as a contract developer, to create a more holistic contract that can support both replies that are sent as a response of your message that was sent as a sub message, and you can use, of course, IBC, which is such a great feature that you can communicate between the networks, and I guess soon to be interchain accounts, which are not yet fully implemented, but they're very soon to come, and a great promise for us.
Yeah, so maybe it's also worth noting that we're not just upgrading the CosmWasm engine. We're extending the current V 0.10 that we have and adding CosmWasm V1. So both versions will work together. They are interoperable, meaning V 0.10 contracts can call V1 contracts and vice versa. And that's that's been the real challenge, I think, keeping everything backwards compatible, because between 0.10 and V1 there were 2 more years of development on CosmWasm, and things changed for the better. But yeah, we also have the current secret ecosystem with a lot of V 0.10 contracts, and we don't want to impact any of them for the worse. So old contracts, or may I say current contracts, will work, will still keep functioning as always. And developers will also be able to keep developing with the old version, but also with the new version. Sorry, a bit of rambling here, but yeah.
No, it's an important fact to notice that every application which is already developed can just keep running the code. They don't have to change anything in particular to keep working on SecretNetwork, and that is of course very important when you're making such an upgrade. And it's good, I guess, to notice how big of a whole lot of time it takes actually to make this kinds of stuff backwards compatible, but it also makes SecretNetwork available to a lot bigger audience of developers. Like if you're still very knowledgeable about CosmWasm V0.10 and you're not willing to immediately jump into V1, or you still have to make sure what you have already coded towards deploying, if you're a new application, that can still go live before you having to change everything to CosmWasm V1.
Yeah, that's a good point. There are teams right now that are building on 0.10, and us extending 0.10 to also have 0.1 makes them it allows them not to wait for 0.1 and for V1, and just deploy whenever they're ready and not depend on us like upgrading or migrating or stuff like that.
Yeah, so I guess to start off, Cosm Wasm V1 maybe doesn't ring a bell with all of the listeners here. They may think, okay, it's just another library. Doesn't really change anything. But within Cosmos, it makes it so that if you have Cosm Wasm V1 contracts, that they can talk over IBC, which is the native bridge implemented to all the Cosmos chains. That you can also query accounts, but also query contracts and interact with contracts on other Cosmos chains. So SecretNetwork will be able to host contracts on other chains and work together basically between all these different layer ones, like Juno, which is one of the chains which already has Cosm Wasm V1 live, but also other chains which are going to upgrade to this. And maybe one of you can quickly explain what kind of use cases this opens up and what interchain contracts or IBC contracts exactly entails. Maybe Lior is the best to take this if he is working on it so much.
Yeah, I can take it. Maybe Asaf will add something that I didn't thought about, but like the main goals are to bring privacy to everyone, both in the coins, in the coin manner. So you can use the secret coins, like you have SNP20 protocol. So you can use SNP20 coins on other chains as IPC tokens. And also, when you will have this whole holistic feature that is called interchain contracts, interchain accounts, so we can basically use privacy on other chains. You can use the random as a service, on-chain random as a service. You can use privacy as a service, and basically interact with the contracts that you have on SecretNetwork on other chains, which is like a great thing to do, because if you want a random that is generated on chain, the only way you can do it is using SecretNetwork.
Yes, so what Lior is referring to is the ability on SecretNetwork to store, for contracts to store private state, and therefore they can store entropy for random number generating, which is something that's not possible anywhere else because there's no private state, and therefore random numbers on other chains, like at least on chains, implementations are predictable and therefore not random.
Yeah, to quickly piggyback on this, it's for people who are not completely familiar, if you are creating a random number within any code library or a blockchain, often what you're doing is you have a random seed, which is like a way that describes how you're going to generate this random number, and then you have a function which generates it. And if you ought to know the random seed, then by definition you can also predict or expect what kind of random numbers are coming out of the generation function. So it would be possible if you have the output of millions or even billions of random seed generations, of random number generations, that you can maybe predict what the seed is, and therefore over a longer period of time try to understand what the protocol is doing. So the privacy aspect is completely lost. So you cannot have randomized minting. You cannot have for example, the generation of a key with a random number. You might be able to understand what key is being generated if you know which random number is going in. So that is, I guess, one of the use cases which we're talking about.
Yeah, random numbers are really useful when you want to make a fair decision on chain. So randomized NFT minting is a good example. Also in gaming, like in card games, shuffling cards and rolling dice and stuff like that, adding chaos to enhance in-game experience, and like there are a lot of examples of this, of using random numbers.
Yeah, and this random this random seed generation is also one of the key implementations on which secret network privacy works. Without this private randomness, the network wouldn't be able to generate random encryption keys and therefore bootstrap the entire network. And with IBC contracts, secret network might be able to do this for other networks, host the private logic or the private randomness on our chain, but still have their application listed on any Cosmos chains they're willing to.
Yeah.
I guess, yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say, and then the most, I think, obvious example of using IBC contracts is to offer private voting for DAOs outside of Secret Network. So, for example, DAO on Juno can have like a voting contract on Secret and send encrypted votes to Secret, where the contract in Secret will tally the votes and then release the final tally when the voting period ends, for example.
Yeah, maybe to dive deeper into this, interchain contracts is a bit of an abstract term, or IBC contracts. Could one of you maybe go into how this on an infrastructure level would happen? Like if you are deploying a contract on for example Juno in the DAO example, then how would you go about deploying this private logic on Secret Network using IBC?
Wow, yeah, that's like a bit hard to explain in normies terms, but I'll try. So contracts in Cosmos and V1 can send raw IBC packets and then receive raw IBC events, let's call it. So a contract on chain A can send a raw IBC packets over an existing IBC connection directed at a contract on chain B. And then the contract on chain B can receive like a sort of a notification that it got the raw IBC packet, and then it can act on it. And then once that transaction on chain B commits, the IBC protocol sends like an acknowledgement transaction to the sending contract on chain A. So was that clear enough?
Yeah, it is exactly the three steps of an IBC transaction, in the sense that on chain A you deploy an IBC transaction, and then a relayer has to pick this up, the relayer being the intermediary between chain A and chain B, so who sends the information. Then as soon as it lands on chain B, the contract or the entity there can take up the packet, do something with it, host the result on IBC, and the result is sent back. And there have been quite a lot of discussions recently on Twitter as to how this would work for private transactions, seeing as if you engage in a transaction on Juno, you're paying public gas. And if you're engaging in a transaction on Secret Network, you have public gas. So maybe you could comment a little bit on how this would work if you, for example, try to deploy more transactional privacy-like applications. So say I am on Juno, I want to do an IBC contract call where I buy some secret tokens, or I buy Atom, I send it to Secret Network, I wrap it into Secret Atom, I want it sent to a different address and then have it unwrapped there and received there. Like, are these kinds of transactional privacy use cases also possible with IBC contracts, or are you in completely different territories because of using public gas and the problems that brings with privacy?
I'm sorry, like I'm not sure that I got the question, but like what
I'll
does
make it.
private gas has to do with it?
I'll make it a little bit simpler as to what I exactly mean. As in, you are now able to create a private wallet on SecretNetwork, right? And you can send your IBC tokens through this private wallet to make them to send them to a different chain and therefore create your own privacy path. Basically, you can use SecretNetwork as a sort of hub to have private interactions. And a lot of people are basically asking the question like, would it be possible for an application like Osmosis or JunoSwap to enable private taxes, for example, or private swaps or private transactions by using SecretNetwork, leveraging IBC contracts? And as far as I understood, it might be quite difficult because you have to pay public gas on SecretNetwork, and you have timing issues, and you might know the amount that is unlocked, so that becomes quite difficult. So I was curious as to whether you think these kinds of transactional privacy-like features cross-chain are possible with IBC contracts.
Yeah, so first of all, IBC interactions with the Cosmos and V1 contracts will have public inputs and outputs. State, if the contract tries to state, it will still be private, but sending transactions like from other chains, it's gonna be public over IBC. So here lies the problem with doing like one transaction mixing on SecretNetwork, so to say, because you're gonna see what's coming in and you're gonna see what's going out. So you have to stay a bit more time in secret to we call it to increase the anonymity set. The more people use the secret tokens, it's more likely that your transactions will not be will be more anonymous.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was referring to. As in, if you enable these kinds of cross-chain logic, that because IBC is public, you create situations where you have to maybe batch your transactions or separate the tokens amount, or indeed wait a long time to increase your anonymity set. So IBC contracts are really here to enable programmable privacy or computational use cases like random number generation on different chains instead of these transactional possibilities.
Yeah, and then to complete, I think the answer to your question, I think that you refer to like if you want to send private tokens to a new address, and that address doesn't have the native coin to pay gas, then the tokens are stuck there, or it's still a problem to get the native tokens for gas privately. So yeah, that's still it's an open issue for us. Like you can see how Osmosis deals with it. It just like allows a transaction with zero fees, but that's not sustainable in my opinion. So yeah, we are talking about solutions like allow paying gas with secret tokens, but that's a bit of an involved solution. Like it's not easy to implement. So it just talks right now.
Yeah, there are always possibilities in the long term to implement it in a different way. And to speak to the Osmosis, how they handle this, it's of course, if you have zero gas, everyone on the network could basically spam the network for free, and this might create some problems, which is why validators on SecretNetwork chose to have a minimum gas fee set to something higher than zero. But then to go a little bit deeper into what this upgrade will bring, it will not only bring IBC contracts and the use cases that come with that, like you already mentioned random number generation, but I think Earlier in a tweet thread, you have also mentioned that you could potentially host private keys of different wallets on SecretNetwork. So you might be able to have a private Bitcoin wallet for a DAO on Juno, but it's hosted on SecretNetwork. But there's also a feature which literally tries to implement this cross-wallet interaction, which is called interchain accounts. Can one of you maybe go into what exactly the difference is between interchain contracts and interchain accounts and how they relate to both this CosmWasm v1 upgrade? If Lior wants to take it again, he can.
Yeah, I can take it.
Okay.
Yeah, because Lior is a bit new. He's just like he's with us for 3 months, so he's learning fast. But yeah, I'll take that question.
Yeah, I'm here learning as well.
Yeah, so
We
interchain
all are, so
accounts.
that's okay.
Yeah, so interchain accounts, in my opinion, is a bad name for that feature because it's an implementation detail. Interchain accounts allows chain A to open an account on chain B and send transactions on chain B. But what it essentially means is that chain A can send transactions on chain B. So putting it in context with CosmWasm, chain A can execute contracts on chain B, like regular users with regular wallets can. So I think the main difference between interchain accounts and IBC contracts or interchain contracts is that interchain contracts can have like two-way communication between them because they can craft raw IBC packets and then receive receive the packets on the other hand and receive notifications about acknowledgements and timeouts and failed transactions and stuff like that. Whereas in interchain accounts, for example, a contract on chain A can execute a contract on chain B, but the contract on chain B does not have to be aware that it's being called from chain A by a different contract. And then it also doesn't have to implement like the IBC hooks to receive IBC packets because it's abstracted away from the contract on chain B. So it's a bit nuanced. I think that interchain accounts allows for better composability of transactions, of contract transactions, and interchain contracts or IBC contracts allow for more complex interactions between contracts on other chains.
Yeah, so it's really IBC contracts, which everyone is always referring to as to what the new use case, where the new use cases will come from, and interchain accounts is really something that just brings the entire tech stack to a level where it's easier or maybe simpler to implement certain things, and it allows for easier cross-chain transaction handling. If I put it simply in 2 sentences.
Yeah, I think that we're seeing that we're very early on in the IBC roadmap, so we are seeing the very basic of it right now, which is sending tokens. And now the IBC teams just adds layers of abstractions. I think like in a few months or in a year, we'll see wallets that abstract away that the IBC interactions from users. You will be just able to send transaction wherever you want, and behind the scenes, it will send transactions on a bunch of different chains. Maybe the chains will call each other. Maybe there are contracts along the way, but the user will be oblivious to that. He'll just get the functionality that he wants. they want.
Yeah, in the end, UI and UX is very like the UI is in the end very important for people to have a good experience on all these cross chains. Now we are still able to go to a DEX and put in this token and put in that token and then swap it around and send it to somewhere else. But if you're going to have very complicated applications like flash loans over several networks, or a poker game where you can play with every native asset, then you get into way more complicated situations where the application has to do it automatically without the user having to actually act upon doing an IBC transfer. And to that, I guess I also have a different question, which is if you're going to host these IBC contracts on SecretNetwork, or I think the only other chain which has it online right now, fully permissionless, is Juno. So let's say you have an interaction with Juno and you want to have your contract on Secret do something on the chain Juno. Would you have to make separate contracts for every interaction, or can you make one generalized contract as a developer, which entails a lot of different paths or options a user can take?
Depends on the use case. It's hard to know. With the example that I gave earlier with private voting on Secret, you can deploy like a new voting contract for each proposal, for each DAO. Like, depends on how you build it, how you design it. But yeah, that's the beauty of permissionless. Like, I'm not sure if Juno is the only one because there are a bunch of new chains, but yeah.
Yeah, the design basically leaves the decision to the developer. The developer can decide whether he wants to split it into several contracts, or whether he wants to create a whole a one contract that can be used for this scenario. It really depends, like what is the decision that the developer made.
Yeah, so if the in the end, developers probably have to take into account when they are developing their native applications how other networks could potentially use their contracts, and to make it in such a way where developers on a network who wants to do these cross-chain interactions don't have to deploy 100 contracts or several 100 lines of codes in one contract to make it happen, but have an easy composable solution where both chains can talk together. But we'll see how that develops over time, as people probably have to learn a lot with Cosmos and version 1 to deploy that kind of logic on chain. And as we're speaking about developers, I think Lior posted a thread a little while ago about the reply function in Cosmos V1, and I thought it would be interesting to go a little bit into details as to what Cosmos version 1 delivers specifically for developers. So for users, we have already tackled most of it. Is that you will be able to more easily use applications on one chain which may be hosted on another chain, and this opens a lot of use cases, mostly where privacy is a service for other Cosmos chains when they can host their logic or their random number generation on Secret. But when we're talking specifically about developers, what do they probably think is the most interesting part about this Cosmos version 1 update, and where do you think they will be very happy about this update?
Yeah, so I think talking about a reply is a good thing, because for me as a developer, as a contract developer, I'm thinking about all of these scenarios that could be solved with this reply mechanism, which I will explain. Could be really like easy for me to solve with this mechanism. So basically, what replies give us is, instead of like sending a sub message as a part of your message to execute another contract, or to execute like
a bank transaction. So you can basically ask for the reply of this message. Like in Cosmos and V 0.10, you couldn't receive the reply and you couldn't treat the reply as you want. Here, when you execute another contract, you can receive the response of this contract as a reply, and you can treat it however you want. For example, when in Cosmos and V 0.10, when one of the sub messages failed, when an error was replied, so it actually was reverting the state of all of the transaction of all of the messages that was sent as part of this transaction. So it basically meant that everything that was done as part of this transaction was reverted. Here, when we have replies, we can actually treat this error separately and revert only this message. So all of the other messages will be executed and will be done as we planned. And I think it's amazing because having all of these all of these messages reverted is a waste of time, a waste of energy, and really gives us the opportunity to treat everything we want as we want.
So would I be correct in stating that if I would buy an apple, a banana, and a pear, and on the market in CosmWasm version 0.10, and the banana wasn't available, then I would not be able to buy anything. But if I want to buy an apple, a banana, and a pear on CosmWasm version 1, then I would, and the banana is not available, then I would get an apple and a pear, but they would say, your banana is not available, sorry.
Yeah, that's correct. You can treat it as this example exactly.
I mean, I'll buy a lot more fruit if that happens.
Yeah, and it's healthy, so a big win for us.
That's debatable. But yeah, I love that example. Yeah, I think in general, Cosmos and V1 allows for better hero handling and just like in general, better quality of life for developers. So we are very excited to add it on.
Yeah, maybe when we go into specifically Cosmos version V1 for developers, could you guys go a little bit into depth as to what is different between the SecretNetwork implementation of Cosmos version 1 and the normal or standard implementation of Cosmos version 1?
So we really tried to remain with the same API and the same implementation that Cosmos with V1 as everyone knows it. The only thing that we change is the contract hash, the contract checksum that is added for every message, as it was in Cosmos V 0.10, and also what is basically changed is in the SDK that everyone uses. So currently, SecretNetwork does not support iterators. So you can't iterate on your state as you wish, because it is encrypted and you can't iterate encrypted data. So it is the only thing that is changed. Basically, we remain with the same API and the same capabilities that other network supports.
I guess that's very good news, because it will make it a lot easier for developers who are already familiar with Cosmos version 1 on whatever chain that logic is already applied, to also host contracts on SecretNetwork. And when they are going to interact with these with this new type of launching secret contracts, is there anything specific which developers have to take into account when they are, for example, familiar with launching applications on one chain, and now they want to interact with secret Cosmos version 1 contracts? Is there a big difference basically in developing just a single contract on a public chain, or interacting with a private contract on SecretNetwork? And what is the most important thing to keep in mind when you're doing those type of interactions?
Yeah, so as always with Secret, it's a bit more complex. When you write applications, you have to take into account the privacy model of your application, of your contract. So, for example, you have to decide what data can be public and what data needs to remain a secret inside the contract state. In 0.10 contracts, everything was private by default, inputs, outputs, and state. And in V1, it's also the case except for IBC interactions. So when you're writing IBC logic in V1 contracts, you have to take into account that your inputs and outputs are public, but your state can still remain private. So reading and writing to and from the state is still private. So yeah, it very depends on the application, but you have to take into account the privacy model of the application. So very dependent on the type of application.
Yeah, so you developers have to get to know how to make sure they don't accidentally leak any information, even if they are handling with encrypted input, output, and state. Which is of course quite difficult. I mean, I've closely followed the development, for example, of Blackbox, and it was very interesting to see how they had to change or adapt to certain models based on what data you may be leaking if you're doing a certain application or doing a contract in a specific way where your timing is visible or anything like this. So it's cool. And then besides the upcoming upgrade, which is it's planned for September, I think that was publicly stated. There is already a local testnet live. Do you have anything you want to say to developers or people who want to try it out? Like how can they try Cosm Wasm version 1 out at this moment in time?
Yeah, we published a forum post with instructions on how to run the local testnet. It's a Docker image that we call local secret. And yeah, just we would love to get any and all feedback on it. There are a few small issues that we're still fixing, but yeah, we're gathering feedback from teams already. So thank you.
Yeah, I hope as many people can test it out as possible, because in the end that makes it a better application in the end. And it is planned for September. So what is left to do? Is it mainly just testing and maybe changing some nuanced things, or is there still a lot of lifting to do to end up with the final upgrade?
Yeah, so it's mainly testing. Testing such thing is like a huge thing to do. We really had to think about a lot of use cases that we wanted to test, and really cover every little thing that was changed, and having both cousin wasms means we need to test both cousin wasms separately and then both of them together. So yeah, tests are the main goal of ours, like uh, in the current days and in the upcoming time, and hopefully when all the tests will pass, so we can release the official version of cousin wasm v1.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. And then I guess that's the end of this upgrade, or like the closest upgrade which is coming. maybe we can touch one last thing or iterate over one last thing. I would like to both ask you what you think is the coolest use case of IBC contracts, and this doesn't even have to be on SecretNetwork, but just in general, what do you think is the most interesting possible use case for IBC contracts within the entire Cosmos ecosystem? Maybe Assaf can go first.
I have no idea. Like the sky is the limit here. I think the voting example that I gave earlier is what first came to my mind, but that's pretty cool. But I don't know if it's the coolest. I had another thought of maybe implementing flash loans over IBC, but it needs more fleshing out. So I'm not sure if that's possible, but that's really cool. Like flash loans is one of the things that are like in my mind are most beautiful in blockchain. So yeah, I'll pass the torch to Lior. Maybe had some time to think about it in the past minute or so.
Oh, so actually, I might be a biased, but Asaf is my guru in all of those topics. So I really like the idea of voting and everything that is related to voting. So I will go with voting for sure.
Yeah, it will make the entire politics of the Cosmos ecosystem maybe a little bit less. So it would be interesting to see how that develops. And I think for me, I've seen some people who were suggesting that it would be possible to host private keys or generate private keys of other networks on Secret. I think I've always been most interested in user side encryption, which is something that both Jekyll and Alter are bringing. And if we could bring user side encryption to other chains, which I think is already being done with Serenity Shield, who is trying to host an application on Solana using Secret. And if that then is also coming to every other IBC chain, would just be very, very cool. Hosting encryption or private keys makes a lot of things possible on other chains, which they may not be able to do right now. So looking forward to seeing SecretNetwork as a privacy as a service layer to the entire Cosmos ecosystem. And then maybe we can move on and do like 5 minutes talking about the upgrade, which may be coming after Cosmos version 1. And then I'll open up the floor to see if anyone has any questions to either Assaf or Lior and see where we go from that. But first,
Yeah, so like before moving on, I think that it's worth mentioning that Shinobi is doing a public beta right now on Secret, and they implemented a private Bitcoin wallet inside a Secret contract. So their contract is a Bitcoin Lite client, a SecretNetwork Lite client, and then a Bitcoin wallet. So they signed Bitcoin transactions inside SecretNetwork, inside a contract, and then their relayers broadcast it to the Bitcoin network. So that's pretty cool. So on-chain private keys is a thing that's only possible on SecretNetwork. So yeah.
yeah, it's the use case which is already working. I'm curious to see how their testnet will go. I hope the application can launch as soon as possible because it will be cool to have native Bitcoin or trustless Bitcoin, I guess, on SecretNetwork and the Cosmos by default because SNP20 tokens, so secret tokens would be cross IBC compatible, of course, so you can have Shinobi Bitcoin on Osmosis or on Juno Swap or on a lending application or a so the Kujira order book application. So that would be very cool instead of having wrapped Bitcoin everywhere, which is of course a custodial solution.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like one more thing that IBC contract brings is the ability to send SNP20 tokens over IBC. And on the other side, they turn out as native coins. So Sienna and Shade and Alter and Jackal will be able to IBC over their SNP20 tokens into Osmosis, for example, to be traded there.
Yeah, and I know Shade is also looking into doing protocol on liquidity, so they would be even able to send their own, so the treasury or the protocol will be able to send their own tokens to Osmosis and pool them in Osmosis against, for example, Secret, and then own this this liquidity as the protocol itself. So IBC contracts allow those kinds of use cases as well, and they maybe have not a lot to do with privacy, but they do create a very big, way bigger ecosystem for all the applications on SecretNetwork to do what they think is the most interesting with their tokens and with their treasury. I guess now we can move on to see what the next upgrade is bringing, and I can spoil it a little bit, but maybe it's best to see if Assaf or Lior can explain what a WASM engine is and what will help if we replace our current one.
Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about that. Currently, we are running COSM WASM contracts are written in. Just to explain maybe first, COSM WASM contracts are written in Rust and then compiled to WASM, which is a virtual machine. So it's a bytecode, and the WASM virtual machine has a lot of implementations. So the current implementation that we're using on for WASM machine that we're using on SecretNetwork is extremely slow, extremely slow. And we've been using it since 2020 because back then that was the only possible option that was compatible with SGX. And after 2 years, we've been keeping tabs on the development of WASM engines. And now there are we discovered a WASM engine called WASM 3. Which should be about 20 to 25 times faster than WASMI, which is our current WASM engine. Of course, pending benchmarks. Like currently, we're seeing 4x improvements with performance, but we also discovered a lot more room for improvements. So we're working on that, and we believe that we can get to at least 20x performance improvement. And so just to put that in like more simpler terms, it means that if currently we're able to run like 10 to 15 WASM transactions in one block, then hopefully we'll be able to run 200 to 300 WASM transactions in a block with WASM 3. So this is something that we've been working on for the past couple of months, and we're still not sure when it will be ready and we can deploy it to SecretNetwork, but we're hopeful to have it soon. Then it also might be worth mentioning that the vanilla COSM WASM implementation uses WASMer as a WASM engine, which is way faster than WASM 3 even. So at least like 150x to 200x faster. But it's not compatible with our current SGX implementation, SGX code. So we're still exploring solutions to how can we make that work for SecretNetwork. How can we make WASMer work for SecretNetwork? And I won't spill all the alpha right now, but we might have a way to make it even way faster than the vanilla CosmWasm implementation, even inside SGX, which adds about 40% of overhead. So yeah.
Lots of things to build, and a 20 or 25x improvement in transactions, or specifically smart contract transactions, which we can handle per block, will bring us at least further for another few years, probably, because before we see dead users on the chain, and the blocks on Secret are not often full. So with already improvements on certain verification types, and with that increased transactions per second, then you have more than enough time to figure out if we can bring Wasmer or even the improvement further than that to SecretNetwork, and really scale to a Terra-like transaction per second, or Juno-like transaction per second, even though you have some overhead with handling encryption inside SGX and writing encrypted output, input-output instead. So I guess I want
Yeah,
to.
so
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, so it's funny that you say that, because my current fear and what keeps me up at night is that Secret is so unique in the blockchain space. Apps on Secret are so unique, and if the next bull market hits before we increase the capacity, like at least by tenfold, then the UX on Secret will be very, very bad, and we don't want that. So we're working very hard to bring more capacity to SecretNetwork, like more transaction throughput to SecretNetwork. So yeah.
Sections we can handle in a block, the better, of course. I want to quickly open the floor to anyone who has a question to Assaf, Lior, or even myself, if you want to. So feel free to raise your hand, and I'll get you on stage. Yeah, so if you want to ask a question, raise your hand or ask to speak, and then you can ask a question about either the upcoming upgrade or anything you're missing about CosmWasm or secret contracts, or something you're just interested to learn more about.
Yeah, it would be awesome to get some questions from the audience. I think the previous time that I was here, we did this on Discord. Am I right? And it was more of a, I think, conversation and less of an AMA. So it was cool.
Yeah, it can still be a conversation. It always it's a bit. One time there are a lot of people who want to ask questions, or people come in early, and then the other time it's not. But yeah, Discord was it had a quite low reach. So at a certain point,
Yeah.
with 5 to 10 people, and it was very cool, but made it quite difficult to make sure everybody was able to see what we were doing. So we moved to Twitter Spaces for now. We are here every Thursday at 5 UTC. Now we're half hour late because Assaf has a toddler who needs to sleep. I hope I hope that it's still a sleeping beauty right now.
Yeah, she sleeps like a baby, even though she's a toddler.
That's great. Make sure you can also have some sleep at night.
Maybe in like 8, 9 years. Because I have another one on the way. So no sleep for me.
You're either awake because the TPS on SecretNetwork has to increase, or you're awake because a toddler or a baby is crying. It's a hard job being a father and a developer, I guess.
Yeah, very, very underappreciated.
I don't see
being a father is the hardest work you'll ever do, but it's worth every second of it.
good life advice. I see that there are not really any questions coming in. If you still want to, please come up on stage. If I'm missing you, then make sure that I am. I don't think I've seen any hands or any requests to come on. Maybe it's funny to end, I guess, the conversation with a small question to both of you to understand a little bit what Secret Labs is doing and how it's going. Um, you of course are, or the entire team is not only handling the core development on SecretNetwork, but also Legend DAO, and an NFT was released with Kevin Smith recently, and I think I saw a picture where you all guys are watching the movie together. So maybe Lior, you can speak a bit on how it's been working with Secret Labs, and how it is there in Israel working with the entire team and seeing all of the people work on different things, both marketing and development, together in the same building.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you ask a question?
Yeah, I was just questioning how it is for you to work with Secret Labs. Has it been fun to see the Kevin Smith movie and work with Guy and everyone else at Secret Labs and see what they're doing and trying to do with not only the core development, but also the several different applications and projects that Secret Labs is handling?
Oh yeah, wow! It's very new to me, and having such a team surrounding you and such a talents like in this area of expertise, it's a great opportunity for me. I'm learning like every minute when I'm here, and also of course really enjoying both seeing the projects that are running on Secret and learning about them, and also enjoyed see the outcome of this project, like the movie, the movie that you all heard about, and it's really great. It's like a big opportunity for me.
Yeah, glad to have you here.
Maybe
Sorry,
maybe
go ahead.
another good sorry for barging. Maybe another good question for Lior is how is the transition from cybersecurity to the blockchain space? Like how was it for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been working in the cybersecurity industry for like in the, for 8 years now, and it was my first 8 years of working in the industry. So it actually the transition wasn't like that hard for me, because in Secret Network we still like talk about security, we still talk about privacy, which is an aspect of security. But the thing that really like make me happy is learning new things and having challenges in my work, in my day-to-day life. And in Secret Network I can find it like every day. I'm learning every day something new, and having a lot of challenges, both adapting my knowledge to this area, and also understanding it better, and finding solutions for the things that we discuss about. It's a really great transition for me, and in these young steps of my life, I think it's a good transition to do.
Yeah, the blockchain space, every year in Cosmos feels like 10, some people always say. I think that is very
Yeah,
fair assessment.
yeah. And then Eltman, I also wanted to ask you how was working on the documentation website? Because I know documentation is a very big pain point for us. We do need better documentation, and what you the work that you led on the documentation website turned out really, really well done. And I just want to ask, how was it for you, like taking our documentation a step forward and doing all that work?
Yeah, so the documentation team consists not only of me, but it's also a technical writer called Northman. Then there is a validator running behind Lavender 5. He's called Schultze. Then we have Lumi from the Trivium team, Sandman, who is the developer behind Color, and then also Danny of the Digiline team. They are developing an IDE for SecretNetwork, was also helping. So we together all sketched out some hours to try and get this documentation done, and it was an effort trying to at least make a plan before we could start. So that was already a big task. We laid out what kind of information do we want and what do we do. And personally, I come from a physics background. I did a bit of computer science and specifically machine learning. So although I am a tech guy, I really like technology and I know how to code in certain languages. I'm not really a blockchain developer, so I have a lot to learn. So I specifically focused on explaining the privacy technology and the secret network tech and tech stack and the entire ecosystem to people who are maybe not familiar. So we added a big part which is explaining how encryption keys are generated on SecretNetwork and how it's available that all the state and input is encrypted and how this interacts with the Cosmos SDK and everything related to the entire tech stack. And then there's also a big section which we added, which is talking about the ecosystem. So what kind of parties are there in the ecosystem and what roadmap is ahead? Maybe what is the difference between secret and as secret and what kind of use cases are there? And then a lot of the big part of the team focused on the development section, which is not only providing code now, code for version 0.10, but it's also providing some structure on best practices. So what is the best thing to handle storage, or how can you best query a contract? What is the easiest way to patch your integers and all kinds of things, talking about privacy leaks. So we try to bring a lot of things which were known amongst the developer community to a document where new developers can read about it. And I think there's still a lot to do. Like the documentation is probably never complete, but we got it into a better state. So I'm glad people are enjoying it and like what we did. We're hosting it now on Gitbook, which is a bit easier to interact with. So it will be cool to see all the documentation change with Cosmos version 1 as well, and see people add things there. Because in the end, more developers is better for the network. So we hope that that helps. And then I think we got someone on who wanted to ask a question. So Skilla Secret, if you still want to ask a question, then please unmute and you can do that if you want. I'm not sure if you're unmuting because I can't hear you, but if you still want to, then please feel free to come ask a question. Okay, it seems like there are no questions left. I don't know if Assaf of Lior wants to say something to end us with. How can we help you? I guess test out Cosmos version 1. Any other things you want to leave us with?
Not really, I think. Not for me. Just really appreciate all the work the secret agents are doing. It's very nice and heartwarming to see all the people that are excited about secret network. So that's what gives us the motivation to keep on innovating. So just thank you.
Thank you for giving us back some privacy. If I walk in somewhere and I pay with my wallet, at least someone cannot see what I did, where I like to host my my wealth, which lending I do. So it's good that we have this this use case live and this product live, and I think more and more people, not only in the Cosmos ecosystem, but also coming from Ethereum and other ecosystems are trying to use Secret Network, and agents are going to several events trying to explain why privacy is important. And there will be a moment where everyone realizes that having your entire financial and even non-financial interactions live on the blockchain, if you're in a Web3 future, I guess that could be a problem if it's not private. And we will be here to help people either understand that or build applications with privacy in mind, which just enables a lot of use cases which you can't do on public chain. And every Thursday there will be a guest from this specific network to talk about a tech feature or just their applications or just how they've been enjoying themselves. So if you are willing to follow us, you can follow us at secret underscore AOTRT, Agents of the Roundtable, every Thursday at 5 UTC, which is 7 Central European time, and I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern time for the USA people. So if you're willing, come join us in, and otherwise you can listen to the podcast afterwards. Often it's uploaded 3 days later on Spotify, Google, YouTube, Amazon, and even the most recent addition, because Assaf uses that app, it's called Pocket Cast. So make sure to listen to us there, and we hope to see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Pocket Cast is definitely the best app for Android. And yeah, thank you for hosting us. It was very fun.
Thank you so much.
Already looking.
Thank you.
Yeah, next week we have Guy Ziskind on, also from Scrt Labs. Normally it will take a few weeks before we have one from Scrt Labs, but now two in a row. So make sure to join in. We're talking a little bit more about his vision on Secret Network and what to do. So I hope to see you all there, and till next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for listening in on the Agents of the Roundtable Community AMA. Follow us on Twitter at secret_AOTRT and every Monday at 7 p.m. UTC in the Secret Network Discord.